And welcome back to episode 17 of the Football Fanatic podcast. Delighted to be back. I'm your host, Declan O'Connor. With me, as always, Howard and Daniel. And back to us again for a second week in a row is Kieran. Welcome back, Kieran, again. Thank you for coming on last week and this week again. If you think you're getting a regular spot on the show, don't think that. I'm only joking. No, we're delighted to have you back, as always. Lads, how are you all doing? Howard, Dan?
Good
Good,
deck, yeah.
Deck. Yeah.
That's good.
Good
How'd you get
stuff.
on
Good
the
stuff.
weekend?
An eventful one.
I had a very eventful one. Listeners and viewers, I was over at Man City versus Spurs yesterday. Entertaining game. Obviously not the result I was hoping for, but yeah, 6 goals, 3 apiece. It was cool to watch. Like kind of seeing the way that Ange Postecoglou has Tottenham Hotspur playing, seeing the way that we're playing, not up to what we should be playing. And it was cool to see the likes of Haaland kind of playing, although he did feck all. He missed a couple of sitters.
Yeah.
Jeremy Doku was cool to kind of see him playing. Yeah, really good seats. Suppose as well, it took me like 5 times to go over to Manchester City games before I seen them score back years and years ago. So I mean, I don't care if it's a draw. Like, I mean, I'm just delighted to see goals. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
the first
When we
game
were
I
a
ever.
real club.
What?
Back
When
when we
we
were a
were,
real club.
I remember
Real
my
fan.
first game ever I went to was City and Blackburn. It was 0-0. It was absolutely depressed. It was just horrible.
When was that? When was their first year? When was the first year you
Lot,
were up?
all, I never got to Main Road, but it was at the City of Manchester Stadium. I think it was 2006, 2005, 2006. It was Blackburn. And then another game, we lost to Spurs 1-0. Went to a derby with my brother. We lost to United 1-0. Seen Ronaldo score a penalty against us. Seen a um what was it, 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace. And it was a fifth game I went over. I seen Robinho score. That was like it was a fifth. Took 5 games to see them score. Like,
How did it,
anyways.
how did it feel to observe your overlords from the hospitality suite and make those obscenely wealthy people a little bit more wealthy, Declan?
I was pretty happy with my purchase, I'll be honest. So again, to all the listeners and viewers, I splashed out and I got myself a hospitality package for myself, my better half yesterday, because basically on Friday I seen the weather forecast and it was freezing, and I can confirm it was snowing during the game. It was snowing in the build up, and I don't care. I'm delighted we got those seats and lovely kind of food and drink before the game. We got like a tour of the stadium, inside the stadium before the game. Kind of got to learn more about kind of Main Road and the whole City of Manchester Stadium back in the day. Now the Etihad got to be brought by the Aguero goal against QPR down at that end, and it was just class. It was just brilliant. And then the seats, obviously, great seats, kind of padded, warm seats. I mean, on a cold day, what more can you ask for? It
Were
was
you were
brilliant.
you tempted to break into a chorus of panic in honor of your favorite defense counsel?
What do you mean by that?
Isn't your lawyer named, is it Daniel Panic or something? And they sing the
No,
Smiths
lad, the
song.
lad, the lad from London. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, what they were singing though is a couple of people to my right was that City are going down with 1 billion in the bank, and another one on the tour. I asked the tour guide, what when he was kind of just bringing us along the side of the pitch. I was kind of up at the top, and I asked him what he thought of the 115 charges, and he just said, "I don't know. I don't know." He wouldn't answer. Like it's almost as if
Yeah.
they were like they're not allowed answers.
Yeah.
It was weird. It just felt like they weren't allowed to kind of comment on it. So I mean, read into that what you will, but whether they believe something is coming down the line or not, but they obviously have their staff kind of well trained not to comment on it, which was interesting. I thought I'd
Well,
get
I
a
think it's for
gen.
reasons like this, Dex. So if you found out anything, it would be on the podcast here. Probably
Yeah,
for
but I
reasons.
Yeah,
mean,
they must have known who you were, Dick.
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
they clearly watched the podcast. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that like he didn't even give his own opinion on it. They're clearly
Yeah.
well versed in what they can and cannot say. But really good experience. Got back this morning. Got back with Ryanair this morning. I flew into Knock at 9 o'clock this morning, and leaving Manchester Airport this morning. The lady in the Ryanair staff member, I had a bag over my shoulder, a sports bag, and she kind of said, "Can I just check if that bag is big enough to bring on the
Oh
plane?"
no.
I was like, you're not doing this to me. I don't care. Like this bag is going to fit." Okay, so she brought it over, and I literally it was a sports bag, so there was a lot of kind of slack and movement in it. I could squash it in. I got it into the fucking thing and just about, and I looked behind and there were about 20 or 30 people behind me just smiling at me. And I felt like they're all kind of rooting for me. And
Yeah,
she said,
giving it a fist bump. Said,
yeah. And what do you call it? She says to me, "All right, thanks very much. Just bring a smaller rucksack next time." And I
Oh,
just kind
fuck
of
you.
looked, I just kind
Oh,
of looked at her and I
God.
go, "The bag is fine."
Yeah.
You bet the system.
Yeah, me deck one, Ryanair zero. Right, yeah, no, it was a great time though. We'll go straight into it. We'll start at Man City and Spurs game 3-all. I'll give my thoughts on it in a sec, but I suppose watching on TV, what did you think of it, Dan? I know you've a kind of few thoughts on the goals and Haaland missing chances, etc.
Yeah, I really thought it was a couple of points dropped from City. I think on another day they could have scored several goals. I mentioned
Yeah,
on the pod last week about Emerson Royale at centre half, and
Yeah.
I don't know how many mistakes he had, like how he wasn't at fault for about 5 goals. Yesterday, himself and Ben Davis there, like trying to play out from the back. It was a hard watch at times, but look, City just didn't capitalise.
no,
Missed a few big chances. Yeah, Haaland missed a couple. Doku was slightly unlucky with his one, I thought, and he was lively enough until he was taken off. But look, Spurs went there with their game plan. It's one of them again. Like I think for Ange, um, if City had went and trounced them yesterday, we'd all be sitting here
Yeah.
criticizing
Yeah.
the what he went and done there, which was it was kind of madness, and that's why it ended up 3-3. But
yeah,
I think that give City a small bit of kind of slack. I think been unlucky in a couple of them games that they haven't won in the sense that they've either missed a chance or given away a silly penalty or like the Liverpool one, the decision that went against them, Allison, the Allison goal that wasn't given, and then probably yesterday as well with Grealish going through, like they probably got unlucky there as well because Grealish
just
was staring down on goals. So
yeah, just on that, I suppose. I mean, when it happened, like kind of we didn't understand either. And only looking back at the replays kind of last night and this morning, I'm seeing that like the referee kind of he was about to blow for the free, played advantage. Hallam made the pass through. Grealish was 1-on-1, and then he blows the whistle. So I mean, I think it was ridiculous. Like it was a very bad call, very poor kind of officiating.
it
But
was.
again,
So,
like we can't read into it. Like we don't know what would have happened. Yes, he would have been 1-on-1, but it's
Yeah.
no guarantee he would have scored. But
Yeah.
my kind of take on it was we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place because we
no,
let
definitely game could have been over half time easily. Could have been over half
absolutely.
time.
Um,
But you didn't take them chances, and
no,
then Spurs did like cause a threat going
yeah,
forward, like definitely under Ange when they get going. Thought Johnson actually I thought was decent enough. Thought
yeah,
he had a good enough game in that as well. I think he put in the ball for the equaliser. And City defensively, like they were going through there on
yeah.
Sky Sports after about the amount of goals that they're conceding. Like they're far from watertight at the back, whatever's going on. You know, he changes it up quite a bit. And then obviously changes systems from time to time that as well. But whatever it is, the Ederson as well was very poor for Son's
The
goal. Like he
first
has to be
goal, yeah,
saying that, yeah. But it was a
it was
great point
great,
for
great.
Spurs.
It
Yeah,
was a great point for Spurs. It was a great breakaway for the first goal,
Mm.
actually.
yeah.
And Son himself, he was brilliant to
Mm.
watch. He was all like he's captain of Spurs now. He was running. He didn't stop. And I was reading in the paper today, like the kind of comparison between the captain of like other clubs, like do they put in that work? Do they put in
Mm.
that shift that Son puts in? Because he was fantastic yesterday.
I think Kuvalevsky is probably goes under the radar. He's been underrated.
Um,
In
Yeah.
a lot of games I watch him, he's like he's very direct, but like he worked up and down the channel very well, and like he is effective for Spurs. Even beforehand, when I always thought he was a decent enough player. But yeah, look, I felt that it was a good game for the neutral, but it was, for me, no more than maybe the City Liverpool game, City Chelsea, these ones that they're not winning this season. Their points dropped for me as opposed to points
yeah.
gained if you were a Man City player or supporter.
Yeah, Howard, have
Um,
Manchester City become complacent?
um, I think they have this thing, like as Dan was saying, they could have easily, especially around the 20th minute to the half time, they could have had a few goals. Doku hit the crossbar, and I just felt there was, like you said, you could say complacency, but they had this kind of aura always like we're gonna. It was a game that every person that's watching that first half was like, City are going to win this game.
Yeah.
And I think they've played like that a few times. I think even in the Chelsea game, it was like, oh, they're going to come back and win. And then, Rodri got the goal and then they conceded again last minute.
Yeah.
But they seem to not be able to actually fully go through and grab the game when it needs to be grabbed at the moment. Because I think, as you said, they might be complacent at the first half. They're complacent. The second half, they assume they're going to get the goal, and they get the goal.
Yeah.
But then whatever happens, whatever way their defense is set up, and it seems to be always in between the midfield and the defenders that there's gaps there that
Yeah.
are starting to show where, let's say, Son and Kulusevski are picking up the ball and making things happen. And it was the same thing with Sterling and Chelsea. And it's just there seems to be a lapse there in concentration. Now call it like, maybe is it the effect of winning the treble, or is it the effect of losing a few players over the summer?
Kind
But
of game management, Howard, isn't it? It's game management. Yeah.
It seems to be, yeah. It seems to be that they're just a small bit complacent. I would put it at. And they could have taken that game out of their hands in the first half. They should have easily been a few goals ahead. In fairness to Tottenham, like that goal Son got at the very start, like he's just so clinical. Like that guy, there was one time as well. Is it your man Brian Gill got the ball and he should have just passed it straight. The Son was clean through and Son was fuming with him. He was shouting and roaring at him because Gill went and did it, took a few more touches, then tried to pass him. But if you give him the ball straight away when he's running through, like it's nearly a guaranteed goal. It's like giving it to Salah or something like that. He's so clinical in them positions. It's insane. And he works, as I say, he works very hard for the team. But like it is, yeah. And I said last week that Spurs have a good record against City, and we were like, oh well, with the players are missing and everything, who knows? And with the defenders, but like City, like it's hard to believe they didn't win that game because with the team that was out there for Tottenham, and with the chances they were giving them,
they were there for the taking in the first half. And I mean, Alvarez hit the post, Doku hit the bar. Haaland had two glorious chances. One was criminal that he didn't put away. Kieran, do you have any thoughts on this? Are you enjoying seeing City kind of chuck along?
It's enjoyable, yeah, it is. But also, if you think back to especially the second half of last season, and I suppose other seasons like it, how in control Man City were of games, and how almost boring to an extent, or how inevitable it was that City would just strangle teams and just work the ball back and forth, left and right, up and down the channels until they found a way to score, usually inside the box as well. Maybe De Bruyne is that missing link, that he's not there to make those links at the moment. But also, I think, as Howard kind of touched upon there, that kind of gap between the midfield and the defense is kind of opening up more and more. And we even saw like Nathan Ake, who's been very impressive this year, but he was beaten in the air by Kulusevski for the third goal. But also Jeremy Doku, who is, young new guy on the scene, fast and everything else, but he was outpaced by Son for that first goal.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I kind of just gave up, and Son, as Howard quite rightly said, was very clinical and put the ball into the back of the net. Most of all, I think it's a victory for Ange Postecoglou. Far be it from me to champion this guy too much, but I am an Angie purist, and I think it was just really refreshing to see a team go to the Etihad and try and stick to their principles. And it also really clearly shows that might be the way to try and strike at a City as kind of ominous and oppressive and as controlling as Man City. If you sit back and invite pressure on for 90 minutes, they're going to score. The fact that it was 3-3 at the end of the game shows that really Spurs were, come out of that with the upper hand, or with more to celebrate. Let's say. So yeah, as Ange says, it's who we are, mate, and I think that showed on the day.
Can I just add to that as well? Like at the very end, like when it went 3-2 to City, like normally City would just keep the ball, keep possession, keep it taken over. But like what Ange does for Tottenham is, and it's like what goes back to the 9 men and still attacking, is that like he gives them belief that they'll score a goal or they can score a goal. And I think the style of football is like ingrained into them that they can get a goal at any time, no matter who they're playing against. And I think maybe that mentality gave them that kind of chance, or to get an idea that they could get back into the game, at 3-2 away from home, like, you know what I mean? So
do you think that the formation, the way they're playing, I was thinking about that as well. Like they're playing, so it was Doku, Foden, who's, I do have reservations around him defensively. I think in a few games this season he's not fault for goals. But then they're playing Alvarez, kind of off Haaland, or kind of playing the kind of forward role, where you will kind of wonder, like, so they're playing them four, and then it's left to Silva and Rodri and in the middle. But you wonder, earlier in the season, Alvarez was playing in one of the wide positions. He wasn't playing in that kind of role that he's playing now. And you kind of think maybe in the games maybe against the better teams, should he be going more solid and playing maybe Alvarez in a wide left or wide right position, and then playing like they're missing Gundogan, so playing
absolutely.
Like De Bruyne and Gundogan in the middle of the field, like that's something about game management. They would manage the game an awful lot better than, like, I suppose Alvarez always going to try and find a pass. Like Silva, even though he's small, like, and he's there's not much to him. His work rate is immense, like in the middle of the field there. But you just wonder, should they be putting another midfielder in midfield?
What's it called? At the start of the season, no, I agree. At the start of the season, they had Kovacic playing in the middle.
Yes, that was like Kovacic,
yeah, and and it was working. And it for a couple of games there, it looked like he had been playing with them for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree, like having him in the middle alongside Rodri, maybe Alvarez on the right or left. And I know what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. Like, we're lacking concentration at kind of key times in games at the moment, and it's costing us. That's the third draw on the bounce, and you saw midweek against Leipzig went 2-0 down. So something isn't clicking. Like, there's by no means a time to panic or anything like that. We're 3 points off the top, but I mean, clearly it's quite obvious that something isn't, the standard isn't what it was last season. Gary Neville wondered, are the players bored? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, 3 years in a row winning the title, I don't personally think you can get bored. I mean, look, if you're playing for a manager like Guardiola, I don't think you'd be allowed to get bored. And if you are bored, you're on the bench.
But if we look at Guardiola's ways of dealing with this problem before in the past, is that he has essentially dumped someone there around Christmas or the January transfer window. If he's going to dump someone, who's it going to be?
Calvin Phillips.
Yeah.
I'd say that poor Devil. Like, I don't know what his role is.
But they did it to Joe Cancelo. You were talking about here on last
year
at Christmas. He was the scapegoat, and I suppose it's a good point. It was your man Guardiola, who they got in for big money, who I think is a centre back, but he seems to be playing him left back. He's got roasted a few times. I think Brendan Johnson flashed past him there at the
beginning.
And it's just like, I saw him in the World Cup and I was like, this guy is going to be top, like he's going to be class, like, and he just hasn't really hit them heights. And I'm just wondering, okay, it's a new league and that, but it's getting bored. Him, like, it's not boredom for Guardiola to be getting ball past.
I don't agree with the boredom.
I don't either. I think that the people, again, it's the same last year. Said he kind of were a bit sloppy earlier in the season, and everyone started to kind of point fingers at them. And it's like, as I said there earlier, like, when you look at the games that they've dropped points in, they're games that they probably should have won. Just maybe they were lacking a bit of luck as well, I think, with maybe especially the Liverpool game, and the game away wasn't a very late penalty. Was it against Chelsea? Like, they're not that far off, I don't think.
No. A few things need to click into place.
Well, it's after Christmas, really. So we know the way this works. It's like, grand, they could be a couple of points down. Like, we're Arsenal really 7 or 8 points ahead of them. I mean, like, Arsenal had a decent lead last year, and you know what I mean. I wouldn't be getting too worried about a City fan.
No. One thing though, I'd say is Man Utd, who they got in for 45-50 million. He hasn't. I don't know. Is he holding him in reserve? But like, is it going to be another kind of Calvin Phillips job there? He just, they buy him in and they don't say anything about him, and you kind of nearly forget he's there. But like, it's still a chunk of change to be spending on a guy. I don't know what you've seen him so far, Deck. Do you think he's a guy who's going to be able to play for you, or
he hasn't? He hasn't kind of. I suppose he hasn't been given the opportunity, first of all, but he hasn't really shone as of yet. I mean, I was surprised when it went from. I know it was an alternative to Paqueta from West Ham,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know. It was an odd buy. I think he needs to be given time, he needs to be given kind of games. But I mean, you've seen with Calvin Phillips, like if they don't do it, obviously in the training pitch or whatever, like
Yeah,
they're not going
yeah.
to get that opportunity. And I mean, we'll see. I don't know because I haven't
It's
seen
just
enough of him.
it's just exactly just because like as Dad was saying, there is an issue there in midfield, like you know what I mean,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
that they're looking to solve, and obviously he doesn't
Pers
trust them other lads
Yeah,
to make it.
personally, I'd go with what Dan was saying. I'd kind of strengthen up that midfield for whatever reason. Kind of there's that kind of lack of concentration. It's coming from the middle, which is kind of put pressure on our defense. So maybe have Kovacic in there with Rodri, maybe Silva in front of them.
Yeah.
In the big
Full,
games against the big sides, like you know what I mean, you get away with it
yeah,
against
yeah,
But I think
absolutely.
in the bigger ones, maybe you need to just maybe go back to maybe a bit more. Like City have been quite exciting to watch, more exciting to watch this season than last season. I think with the likes of
Yeah.
Doku, in there, Alvarez as well, pulling the strings. You know, they are better probably to watch, but they probably nearly need to go back to
They lack
game
the
management of go in front and then just kill the game, hold on to the ball. You know.
yeah, they lack the control like that
Mm.
Guardiola loves. Whereas another player in there alongside Rodri, be it Kovacic, like they would get that control back. But yeah. Spurs created chaos and they got their just rewards. They were absolutely worthy of a point. We'll move on. Dan, 4-3. Did you take off the shirt? Did you beat the chest?
My hands were taking a bit of a clatter, and all right in
I'd
celebration.
say
But
so.
the
Just before you go into it, just one
yeah.
thing. Three definitely contenders for goals of the season. My
Oh, there
God.
was, yeah. In fairness, the quality game, and Klopp said it afterwards. He said like that no one
Yeah.
would have came here to this game and thought like they'd be going away talking about it probably for the remainder of the season and beyond. But speaking of game management, it was very much a case of I think Liverpool at times were just there was no game management at all. I don't know what sort of leadership there was on the pitch, but
Yeah.
at times it was very stressful, and I would have been very annoyed actually. I think this season would have been the first game where I would have been really annoyed if we had lost it. And even after we'd won it, I still had a bit of anger towards the way we played and the goals we conceded. One of them, and that as well. But yeah, there was a few corkers in there, like like Trent was unlucky that his free kick didn't go directly in. Like he didn't get the
Yeah, I know.
that I went to, but like it was a great free kick. Throughout the game, to be honest with you, he's playing with a serious amount of confidence. At times during that game, he was just taking the game by the scruff of the neck, just
Yeah.
driving the team on, and I think it was fitting that he got the winner because he probably was the best player on the pitch on the day. And again, that kind of midfield role, like at the end, he was kind of everywhere. Trent, like he was popping up here, there, and everywhere. But like
Is
he
it
gave away some.
is he taking it to the next level? A little bit.
Yeah, yes and no. I think yes, but the whole position thing is still up for debate. I think for me because again we were caught a few times down that side, and I'm just sitting there going, if we had a six that had legs and that was a powerhouse
Yeah.
could get around the pitch, you would fill that gap an awful lot more. And it wouldn't be as exposed. That's for me. There was a lot of players at fault. Kelleher had actually a poor game. It was his worst game as in goals for Liverpool. I think he made one or two decent saves, but he was at fault for probably two, I'd say, of the goals anyway. He could have done an awful lot better for two of them. But it was one of the games as well where Liverpool looked like they could have been out of sight. They were all over Fulham, and then suddenly one breakaway, Alistair switches off, and Fulham get their equaliser. But once Fulham went in front, the thing that might annoy me most was when it was 2-2. There was nearly a half hour left in the game. Liverpool went gung ho, like it was like all out attack. And there was no need. They went all out attack. There was loads of time left, and got caught twice on the break, and did give away a goal, that as well. But I just wonder,
What is it? I suppose because I mean, going forward, there's no issue. You're probably the best in the league. But what is it at the back? Because it's not like you have
there's two problems.
Defenders. Go on.
Yeah, no, there's two problems though. It's not just the back. So they're not pressing high enough from the front. I think Klopp was talking about that after game as well. Is that teams are getting out too easy and have been all season. And I don't know whether or not it's down to, I suppose, like the front three have obviously changed. It's evolved. It's different. The midfield is obviously evolved. It's different. You're not playing Bobby in there now. You're playing Nunez. Who's a completely different type of player to Bobby. that kind of pressing energy, like it was probably always led from the front. He was the one that was the first man that was kind of in trying to win the ball back. But what's happened is we get turned over, and our midfield, in particular McAllister, like he's not quick enough once the ball gets turned around and we're hit on the break. We're struggling to get back. Like Trent is like then not in the right back position. He's in like midfield, and then you have Matty who legs for me. To be honest with you, I know he goes in them rod and runs from time to time, but like Matty's contract is up in the summer, and I think that is more suited at the moment because he has more legs. But I do feel that even still there could be an opportunity maybe for us to look at another centre half in there and that as well. That's the problem as well. It's not just defensively. It's that we're high up the pitch with high line, but then we're not pressing to try and stop teams from getting out. Like City for the last couple of years outside of ourselves, we're kind of the best at it, and we kind of are having a bit of trouble with that as well. Teams are kind of getting out, they're hitting on the break, and we're finding that as well quite a bit this season. So there's something wrong there in that as well. Whatever that is, I don't know, but we were lucky, to be honest with you, yesterday again, and we've had a few of them where we kind of looked us on our side because like it's not good enough. In Fulham, we were thinking probably one of the poorer sides in the league this season, coming to Anfield and scoring 3 goals.
I suppose I know you've been reluctant to call Liverpool contenders, but as far as I'm concerned, you are. Kieran and Howard, what do you think? Do you think Liverpool are contenders this season? Despite like the chaotic football, I love the chaotic football I'm seeing because like it's what Klopp did a couple of years ago. I know the resources he has are different. The people on the team are different, bar a few, but it's just that rock and roll football. It's brilliant to watch because it's
great. I think that they could be thereabouts, but I think it'll depend on what they do in January. I think you need to get someone in there who fills that 6th role, as Dan was saying. Like I was just thinking there when you were talking there, Dan, like the amount of money that you went in with Casado, like that would have got you Declan Rice, like you know what I mean, if you had gone in early enough for Declan Rice, and Declan Rice is exactly what McAllister isn't, I suppose, which is a person who can run and have legs in midfield even when you get it turned around, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see Declan Rice do what McAllister done at the weekend.
No, I don't. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But like,
I know what you're saying though. But
McAllister in the 6th role, I'm talking about, like not McAllister in the 8th role, like.
Yeah, but I suppose though the Rice thing was Liverpool going in for Caicedo was off the back, and then Fabinho and Henderson going, which wasn't.
Yeah, I know,
so,
exactly. I know exactly.
Which your Rice would have been perfect. You'd have been perfect.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it was. You should have done it or anything. I'm just saying. I'm just making a comparison about that kind of money, and that's what could get you. Like like Caicedo. I don't think Casado's pulling up the trees of Chelsea either. But
not yet, anyway. No.
I think what you do with that money in January. And I'm sure there's a bit there left is going to be very important for, I think, the second half of the season. So I think if they keep going like they're going now, I don't see them challenging. I think they'll need to buy someone in January to because I think in the second half of the season, I think like City are going to come strong, I'd imagine, and like the draws that you're seeing there at the weekend aren't going to happen. Like so,
I think we lose Salah as well, don't we? We lose Salah for
African Cup of Nations,
But I don't know. I was looking at the Arsenal fixtures. Like Arsenal have like maybe 2 or 3 games in January. Like there's not that many. There's not that many actually important games. There's a couple of FA Cup games. It's not actually that many.
Yeah, it's not an important FA Cup game.
Yeah. It's just 10. Yeah, but in regards to the Premier League, but like it is just like I'm looking at Arsenal. Like the way Arsenal are playing, they're not going to win the league at this rate either. Like even though they're top, like they need to find Arsenal need to find the form that they had at the start of the season for the last season for the second half of the season this season, and Liverpool need to go up a level too if there's going to be a chance for a title challenge. And that's kind of where I am.
Kieran, you're probably the best to answer this. Of the 3 teams that we support, who is best placed, right? Because personally, and there's no disrespect to the other teams, I do think the winner will be Liverpool, Arsenal, or City. Kieran,
what position? Give us the positions there. Who's first, second, third?
Kieran, what do you think?
Going to give you my Mystic Meg forecast.
14 games in. What do you think right now?
14 games in, I think that Arsenal have to hit the form they had hit last year to be anywhere near a chance in the second half of the season, but they're not hitting that form. They're arguably a little bit less. They haven't got the same edge as last year. I think Liverpool are still solving their midfield conundrum. I haven't been forced to probably solve it a bit quicker than they wanted over the summer. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is also kind of answering that, but also creating more difficulties for it as well by what he's doing. I think they still have some fragility at the back. I think City, a lot of questions to answer, probably midfield to be strengthened. But I think in the second half of the season, Guardiola will take some time over the Christmas to figure out what needs to be done in the second half, and they'll just hit that form that they did last year. So I still think it's Man City's to lose. If I had to put it in any order, I would probably say Manchester City coming top. Yeah, maybe Arsenal, then Liverpool. That's
okay. That's what you think, but who would you like to see? What would you genuinely like to see happen?
Tottenham. We want Tottenham to win.
No, forget Tottenham. Look, Tottenham aren't winning the league. We all know that. They're going to be up there. They've been brilliant, but they're not winning the league. We know that. Although Dunphy said something very different this morning in the paper, which I didn't like. He said that it could happen at some stage. But Kieran, what would you like to see happen of the three teams? Because I know it's not City.
No, it's probably Liverpool, if anyone. Yeah.
There you go.
By an edge, Don. That's maybe just down to liking Klopp a bit more than I like Arteta, but it's by a hair, really. And really, don't worry, fellas, you all lose when it comes to Ange as well. So
yeah, but when you think about those lads, like as well, like City have probably best midfielder in the league still to come back.
Yeah.
Well, he'll probably be back in the year, is he? He's not far off.
In January, yeah.
Like, you know, you take that into account, you get him fired as well, you know, like that's a massive upgrade on what they've got.
Yeah, I'm not getting on the bandwagon there as well, but Partey has been a massive loss for Arsenal as well. Like I think a part of the reason why we aren't at the level, Arsenal aren't at the level as they were last year, is because Declan Rice in that position isn't as punchy. His passes aren't as like through the lines as Partey was, and he was, you know, unreal at that. Now that's not to say he'll come back and pull up trees, but if he had that form that he had last year, if he came back to that, he could bring us to another level as well. But anyway, there's a long way to go.
Yeah. All right. I will just go through the rest of the results over the weekend. I'll just kind of stop at one or two of them. So Newcastle 1, Man United 0. So I mean, both were in European action during the week. Newcastle got screwed while Man United screwed themselves. I think we can all agree. I don't know, it was crazy. First of all, the handball thing against Paris Saint-Germain, I thought was ridiculous, and they're right legal. That will cost them a place like going forward into the knockout stages. Like, had they won that, what games do they have left? Do they have to go to
Milan at home? They'll win that.
That was a pretty crazy.
It was ridiculous
because
it was probably one of the worst.
There was a decision like about maybe 20 minutes before that, and it was the same thing. It was a Newcastle player, and it bounced up off his hand from his leg or something, and they looked at it and they're like, no, they check over, and then for some reason, I don't know, weird.
Just the Man United game then in Europe. I mean, Onana, he continues to kind of entertain. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's not just like a once off anymore. Like, it's almost like you expect them to make a mistake now. It's crazy.
It was gas. I heard a couple of United fans on Twitter, and they were talking about the Newcastle game there, the United Newcastle, and he made a few saves, like, and they're like, oh, the mentality monster that is Onana to come back from all these howlers is like they're trying to focus on his brilliant mentality, as in like something they're clutching there to try and say what a signing he's been because his mentality.
I was watching, like, I kind of watched some of his. He has a very unique way of saving the ball. It's not, he doesn't go to catch it, like, he goes to almost kind of push it out, but it doesn't work. And as for like kind of, he doesn't come to catch the ball in the air either. Like, he kind of goes to punch it up, and he doesn't punch it away. He punches it straight up in the air. It doesn't make sense. But and also I heard today, because of Nick Pope getting injured against United, they're interested in David De Gea.
In Newcastle, there is it?
That could be an interesting one.
Yeah. Transfer.
He's obviously still without a club, which is kind of crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
Well, it's his own choice as well, though. He's turned down clubs that aren't playing as a European football or Champions League football, so he's been a bit. His mercenary instincts have come true. So maybe Newcastle are the perfect place for him.
I must admit now as well, at the weekend, I was impressed by Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, well, our main man again. Like I was impressed with Newcastle generally after coming back from that game and PSG and the energy that they had. Like, I know like United aren't playing great at the moment, even though they won a good few games. But the energy, it was almost like they weren't playing during the week. They came out all guns blazing, and it's a tough place to go, St. James Park. Like
8 o'clock. Imagine Newcastle 8 o'clock against United on a Saturday. Like, it's a tough place to go anyway. But like,
Yeah.
you can imagine the Geordies drinking all day up for it, and like Eddie Howe was getting some tune out of them. Like, they have injuries as well, and they're flying. In fairness to them, they're flying.
But when you look at the lackadaisical, lethargic Rashford and Martial,
I was just about to say
compared to go on.
No, just what you were saying, Kieran. Exactly. There was a highlight reel of Rashford on Saturday evening when he lost the ball and didn't track back. I mean,
got annihilated yesterday as well, as did a lot of them. The guy Neville podcast, he was calling them. He doesn't want to watch them anymore. He was calling them boring. He doesn't want to watch them. And Keane and Carragher, they really went in on Rashford in particular, and Martial. Martial, I think, he's been bet with a shovel. I think the slagging he's got over the years, yet he's still there. But yeah, they got a fair doing, and it was due to work rate. I think really was what they were really getting at with
He had a massive row. Did you see that clip of him and Ten Hag like on the side of the pitch? Like Martial was like basically shouting back to Ten Hag, and Ten Hag was throwing his arms and everything at him. So there was some verbals going on, like So there's obviously a lot of shit going on that we only see clips of it on the pitch, but even behind scenes.
Manchester United couldn't even be scared into performing by Eric Ten Hag doing his best Tommy Shelby and Blinders impressions at the peak cap as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like big game with Chelsea.
Yeah, when you look at Rashford and Martial being just so lethargic versus Anthony Gordon, who's riling the crowd up when he was taking the corner. He got in for the last goal, and I hate to say it, he deserved that goal, but he's still a punk.
He's still a punk. He is. He does. For whatever reason, there are players every now and again you just do not like the look of, and they annoy you as a player. They'll kind of piss off the fans, but in fairness, it is working. He is a good player. Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. I know Arsenal, Howard, you were saying that they're not as impressive, but they're still top of the table. Still got 2 excellent goals, I thought, 2 brilliant team goals.
First half they were brilliant. Like first half they should have been 3 or 4-0 up. And then second half it was this, the liability of playing Zinchenko left back just kind of. Have you seen it a few times at City? He kind of can be. He's so calm on the ball, and you need that to a point. But when there's a load of Wolves lads running at you trying to get the ball off you, to counter press you, it's not the perfect time to do it. But they should have been out of sight. But look, they're tipping along. It's the kind of thing like, are they going to get found out because they're just kind of tipping along, or are they tipping along and just haven't hit the next level that they could need to go to, because it has to go that way with everything, you know what I mean? So we'll see. Well, we can think. I think Jesus coming back is a big plus from him, even though he's not the most goal scoring player. I think he still is fundamental to how they play and how he feeds the ball to Saka and Martinelli. So let's see.
We will see. Bournemouth 2, Villa 2, Chelsea 3, Brighton 2, West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1. Just a note on Crystal Palace's goal. The West Ham defending was shocking. It was it was a comical goal. Brentford 3, Luton 1, Notts Forest 0, Everton 1. Huge win for Everton. And finally, Burnley 5, Sheffield United 0. Finally, something good to report from Burnley. And it looks to have cost Sheffield Heckenbottom his job today. Wilder looks to be in the wings waiting.
Is he gone? Is he Heckenbottom gone?
I don't think
it was usually when it's leaked out like that, it's usually spot on. And we did say at the weekend it was nearly a kind of whoever manager was, they didn't go their way. It could be
5-0 there.
Trouble,
but yes.
Just on the Chelsea game, I watched the Chelsea game here and Chelsea Brighton game, and I don't know if you saw, there was a VAR decision right at the end. Caldwell, it was 3-2 finished to Chelsea, but it hit Caldwell, I think, in the face, but the referee thought it was hit his hand. It was like 100 minute or whatever, so the referee pointed to the spot, and the ball went out of play for a corner, so it was literally pretty much the last kick of the game. And then they went to check the VAR, and it was turned out it hit his head, so it was no penalty. But instead of giving Brighton the corner, because it came off Caldwell's head, it went to a drop ball, and it was just basically a clearance, and it was over. So it was kind of just Wait, so because the referee got a decision wrong,
Yeah.
and Brighton didn't get a corner in the last minute where they could have actually tried to,
Had
get across it. So I was like, this just makes no sense. This
it doesn't make
Come
any
here,
sense.
come here, what
honestly.
and as well, like games last week, like what was Conor Gallagher doing on a yellow card going in for
Getting-
tackle, like that one he went in for, like as well, like what's wrong? Sometimes with players, you just wonder, like, what are they actually? What's going through their mind?
That's his
Doing.
style. Like,
I know,
yeah.
yeah, but like, yeah. I was Mudryk's one of the definite men actually.
No, I
it was
didn't
dodgy
like.
enough, was it?
I think it was more Mudryk. Like the two of them came together. Milner, I thought, used his experience to get in front of him, and then
Yeah.
basically Mudryk's like he kicked. Like it was hard to know, did Mudryk kick into Miller's legs or did Miller
Yeah, it was
rip
just,
him? Like so, it was kind of more of a coming together. But they gave it anyway. It was harsh. It went to VAR and VAR gave it, but
big 3 points for Chelsea.
big one,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
After
And they have United on Wednesday night. All right, so that's the fixtures from the weekend. Now we're going to move on to a new one. So the transfer bargain buys. Okay, so these can be current, they can be in the past. So from the lads, I just want to get 2 of each, and I have my own as well. So we'll go one. We'll go one from each of you. So Dan, we'll start with you. Who is your bargain buy?
Right, okay. Are we going with lowest price first? No, doesn't
No,
matter.
whichever you want.
Right, I'll just be a bit biased here in that as well. So I've gone from a player from my own club. So I've gone for Andy Robertson. So when I was looking at the value thing, I think the value thing doesn't necessarily have to be the price comes into it, but also the longevity. And yeah, the two that I picked are kind of ones that have had longevity and have been massive, I think, players in I suppose filling positions that really needed to be filled. Like, when you look at Liverpool's left backs that they had, say, I think Risa was the last good one that they had. And then they went through a list, and I named just a few of them that I can think of that were just horrific. Like Paul Kondeski was one of them that they got in a left back. They got in Fabio Aurelio as well, who wasn't great. They had Imad Insua. They played John Flanagan there for a while. Who else? So they got Jose Enrique was there. Now, he actually was okay, but he was very injury prone. And then we got Alex. I don't remember man Ali Sissoko came from Valencia, but he was fucking horrifically bad. So they went through a lot of really bad ones, and then they kind of landed on Andy Robertson for 8 million.
From Hull, it was ridiculous.
And then you look at what he's done. So like he's come in, he's been at the club since 2017. He has the most assists for a defender in Premier League history. So that's nearly one of his biggest feats, I think, for coming in. And then like he's won every trophy as well. So all the big ones, he's won them all, and I think he's been fantastic on the left.
He's been brilliant.
And like for 8 million, I think he's obviously still there. He's only 29. I do feel that maybe he's not the energy levels aren't the same as they were. Like in fairness, I don't know if there's been anyone with better energetic left back in the league. I can't think of too many other ones. Like he's always up and down. And he is a leader on the pitch as well. But like for me, he would be one. Like there's a couple of other ones at Liverpool, but just I think from what he's won, from what he's given Liverpool, most assists for a defender, which have cost 8 million. Like in a league where Benjamin Mendy went to City for 50. When you put it into context of money that's spent on, like you can't get much better than that. So he's one of my 2 players. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You're comparing to Benjamin Mendy now, Dan.
No, I'm just saying. I'm
comparing
it in price, though. It's a price.
I know,
so
yeah.
When you think of what some of the defenders have gone for, and who've been fairly disappointing, and then for the money he cost. Now, in saying that, when he came in, it's kind of like this lad's Hull have gone down here, like and he took a little while to get into the team. I think once he got in. He's been exceptional, and fair enough, he's out injured at the moment. But like for the majority of his Liverpool career, he has been injury free. Like there's never been many serious injuries with him. As well, like, and he was in the Champions League team of the season as well in 2019. He was the left back team of the season. Like so, there's a lot. He ticks an awful lot of boxes. I know it might be a bit biased being a Liverpool fan as well, but I do think that no one could argue that he hasn't been a fantastic bargain when you look at the money being spent for players. And like that was 2017 when we bought him. So it was at a time when, this kind of inflation and value of players was kind of going out the window. So anyway, that's Lee Robertson.
All right. Kieran, we'll go to you.
Well, being a lifelong card-carrying member of the goalkeepers union from my time between the six for Hudson Bay. There's only one man who comes to mind, and I'm not a Manchester United fan by any means, quite the opposite. But I really, really enjoy Edwin van der Star's move from Fulham to United. How he ended up at Fulham in the first place really is actually the probably even more interesting part of the story. But I think he was he 34? He was definitely in the kind of twilight years of his career by the time Ferguson snapped him up, but it was really quite an astute piece of business. I think he won the Champions League actually while he was with Manchester United. And he had come from that great Juventus team and even an Ajax team before that. So he had that experience. But yeah, it was just such an enjoyable watch to see him because he's just a fantastic goalkeeper and a very smart piece of business. Not the only kind of player in their in their golden years who enjoyed a bit of a swan song period at United. Another firm favourite of mine, Henrik Larsson, made the move south. Well, I think he came from on loan from Barcelona by that stage, but just very enjoyable.
Ferguson rarely got them kind of older people signing, like the older player coming in signings wrong, like, you know what I mean? Anyone he got in were
Laurent Blanc did a job for him once as well, so there's a few golden oldies for
Michael Owen
to mix it up.
Michael Owen. Well,
Michael Owen, yeah.
That's only to get one wrong.
All right, Howard.
I've gone for an Irish right back. They might all know.
For fuck's sake, you're Seamus Coleman, obviously, is it?
Yeah, is that your one?
My one and Kieran's one as well, Van der Sar. So my two have literally just been baked.
You can just stay quiet for a little bit there.
I'm just gonna keep quiet and say nothing. Howard, go ahead.
Well, you can chime into this one too, Dex. So since we both have them, but no, just like 60,000 from Sligo Rovers. So like over 400 caps for Everton, and just literally, like for like there was a time where, like, let's say Arsenal, United and all that could have done with a player of his ilk in the team. Like, he was just steady as a rock, like flyer past the past their other fullbacks, and he was just he injured himself recently, but he still came back and still was a quality player. So like has that kind of head and shoulders kind of experience as well, and kind of nice that he played a bit of Gaelic for Donegal as well, and has that kind of Irish roots, and done well as as an Irish player himself. But yeah, look, he's
absolutely, it's like as Dan said, the longevity. I mean,
and at a time he was probably best right back in the league for a while, I think.
I remember actually I have a friend who is a Sligo Rovers fan kind of tell me about the time when that supposedly he does want to come back to the Irish League and kind of finish there. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But as well as that, supposedly it wasn't going very well for him at Sligo Rovers before he made the move. Not saying he was lucky to get the move, but he was having an average season supposedly when he did make the breakthrough into Sligo Rovers, and then obviously he just went on a brilliant run of form and the right people seeing him, and then that kind of rest is history. But definitely.
That's interesting about the Sligo Rovers thing, that he wasn't hitting the heights, because you'd imagine that that would be a reason why.
No, but from what I hear, and as a Sligo Rovers fan, it was kind of telling me about the time, like that is obviously the big one for Sligo Rovers, like, but yeah, I mean,
and a great defender, like, a great defender, great like one-on-ones.
Absolutely, and he has almost like a kind of captain aura about him, It's like, I'm not going to write. So my two were Edwin van der Sar and Seamus Coleman. So Dan, I'm going to come back to you for your second one.
I'll probably lift your spirits here a small bit, Declan, because my second man is a Man City player.
Go ahead.
So I gave him a fair rollicking here on the pod a few times recently. So my second one was for 6 million, Vincent Kompany.
Oh, Vincent Kompany, from Hamburg.
So I just think, again, when you look at what he gave to Man City over 11 years, 6 million, was captain for over 200 games and has won part of the Champions League, has won, I think, everything else with City. Like, and I'll always remember one thing I always hated for was that fucking pot shot goal he scored against Leicester. That killed that title run, the Liverpool run. Like, he was, and that just epitomised him though as well. Like, that it was him that had that moment. But he was an exceptional centre half. I think injuries is probably the only kind of
Yeah.
negative you have around him. You know, there was a couple of seasons there where he didn't get as much game time as he would have had. I'm just trying to remember who he came in and filled the gap for when he got into the team. I just can't think off the top of my head who it was he came in for. But like
At the time, Richard Dunn was kind of coming to the end, and like the owners didn't fancy Richard Dunn because Gary Cook said like Richard Dunn won't sell shirts in Asia. That's the kind of comment that he made. And I can see the commercial point of view from that, but what do you call it? It was kind of Richard Dunn. Sylvan Distan had gone maybe 2 years previously to, I think he went to Everton, I think Sylvan Distan went. But
like a company like he was, look, he was for a period of time there as well. He was like exceptional. He was, I suppose, when City were really getting going and knocking out the title wins and that as well. Like company was a massive part of most of them. And I think just again put it into perspective, he cost 6 million. You know, I can name there's several defenders. We got here all night name defenders who've gone for monstrous money and had not had anywhere near the impact that company has had, and the fact he went on then to be captain as well. So so he's my second one. Like when you think of combined total there of what 8 and 6 million, 14 million, in them two lads, and what they won and what they contributed to their sides, you know, so company was my second one.
Very good. Kieran, on to your second one.
My second one was also Seamus Coleman.
So we picked the same too.
So I'm going to go off. Actually, we did pick the same too. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
We were obviously both looking at the same. We were obviously googling the same things.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'll come in so there if that's all right. Just kind of mention.
Can I have 30 seconds to
sorry, go ahead.
Can I have 30 seconds to shout for not a Premier League player, but a recent signing for Athlone Town, the Haitian sensation France Perrault, who scored 20 goals this season, and you know led the way for Athlone's push for the playoffs in the end. Now, if I'm being honest, his highlight reel went up a little quickly after the end of the season, so his thoughts might lie away from Lissy One.
He will not be there. He will not be there next season. I've seen him a few times. I've seen him a few times at a few games I was at as well. He's a beast, isn't he? He'll go somewhere else, I think. Though. Yeah.
What nationality is he?
All year. Sorry.
What nationality is he?
Haiti, the Haitian sensation.
Oh, sorry, Haiti. Sorry. Okay, very good. I remember you telling me about him. Actually, he had a great season. Okay, Howard, you're number two.
The person I got for the Judas, they used to call him. Played
Sol Campbell.
There it is. See that? It's just they know the link between Judas and Sol Campbell is still strong. 10 years after he's finished his playing.
Honest to God, yeah.
Look, a free transfer from Spurs to Arsenal, which was, I suppose, you know, unheard of at the time.
Unheard of. A bit risky.
Oh yeah, and I'd say like even if you were him at the time, you would have been, you know, anyone but Arsenal surely, and like the abuse I'm going to get, he would have known that. But I think he was given reassurances by Arsenal that, you know, they're going to protect him and his family, all that kind of stuff. So, was like a lot of people probably, you know, would have thought, you know, Tony Adams and all these people and Cola Torre, but Campbell was there with all them. And he was an absolute unit, like, you know, like Wenger said, like the reason like he bought him was because none of his attackers could actually get past him when they played against him, like, you know what I mean? So he's got 2 titles and 73 caps for England. So he was my pick. Went on to have a great career with Portsmouth. As we know,
he lifted the FA Cup with them, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he had like he's had a brilliant career, and took some balls to go from where he was in one side of North London to the other. So he was my choice.
Like, I don't know, like, would it be? He probably would have got a lot of abuse for that, I'd say.
Oh, I'd say even now, I'd say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
It's crazy. Like, think about any of the other, like Manchester City, like City going after United player, or, you know, like Tevez, but like for free. So it's not even like, you know, you're getting a fee for him.
Yeah.
I just mentioned what other really valuable transfer.
Go ahead.
Just so we're talking, I just think that probably the biggest coup of all has been the fact that Declan has managed to get myself, Howard, and Kieran on this podcast for any amount of episodes for free.
Yeah. Serious bargain.
Yeah, and actually, think about Howard. We're actually paid to be on the podcast now. We have to send the money there during the week. Like he has
What's
us.
going on?
He has us on the puppet strings. He does.
It'll all be worth it when we get this Christmas lunch off deck.
Oh my God. You read and signed your contracts, all right? You're mine for another few months. I know. Yeah, why I got money off Dan and Howard will be revealed towards the end of the episode. Don't worry. A couple of honourable mentions. Kante to Leicester. I can't remember what club you mentioned last week, but I mean, he was a fantastic player when he came to Leicester. I think it was 6 million. Again in that Leicester team. Vardy for 1 million from Fleetwood. Mahrez for I think it was less than 1 million, 700 and something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ridiculous.
Another one, I think Lampard's moved. Like I think he was a 10 or 11 million. When you think of what he achieved leaving West Ham to go to Chelsea and the amount of goals he scored as well. That was another one that I probably was on my short list, I think.
Yeah. And I suppose one more as well, just actually an Arsenal player, Vieira, came from AC Milan to Arsenal for like 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Wenger was quite good at finding the kind of bit part players in Europe, usually French, like Henry.
Yeah, Nicolas Anelka, 500,000 from PSG to Arsenal.
Yeah,
or even Bergkamp. Yeah.
Bergkamp as well, all right, all interesting ones. Kieran, cheers for taking mine, but anyhow, we'll move on. So again, there's this week we're not doing the weekend predictions for a few weeks because we have a Christmas competition that we're going to be advertising at the end of the show, but we are going to have a quick look at the midweek and weekend preview coming up. So there's games tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday night, and then as normal at the weekend. So the games I've picked out, just interesting ones that are on midweek. Luton and Arsenal are on tomorrow night. Howard, would you be fairly confident of a win there?
You think you would on paper, and then you see what they did to Liverpool. I think when you're there, like as you said, Dan, not many people have turned them over like big time over, in Luton. So that would be my only concern. Like I'm seeing people say, "Oh, we should be resting all these players for Luton and all this kind of crack with all the fixtures coming up." But like, I don't think you can afford to do that.
I think you'll win, but I think it could be tricky game.
I think that's the problem for the likes of them, though. Like when you think of it now, we're coming into the season where there's games every 3 days. So like where Arsenal can make we'll make a couple of changes. Like it's going to be an absolute nightmare for fantasy football. We'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah. There is going to be a lot of changes now amongst all the big sides in particular. But the likes of Luton, like they might necessarily have the changes to make, but like it's going to be testing for them.
That's a good point. I'm looking at it from Arsenal point of view, but like from a Luton point of view, if you're looking at their starting 11 they played at the weekend, are they saying that they have to play exactly the same 11? Like they don't obviously have the the European competitions, but like even a game every 3 days is still tough on the starting 11 that Luton had at the weekend. Like, you know what I mean? So it's hard to know. It's just hard to know. Like, will they rest any players, or will just go gung ho again, and will that affect them? I suppose.
I don't buy into that whole argument of
3 days.
You can't play every 3 days. They never did. They never will. They're athletes. Look, they have the best of the best training facilities. I mean, you can play every 3 days, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It'll be good if Arsenal get an early goal. I think they'll be fine. But longer it goes on without a goal.
I'm obviously bringing that match in as well, wearing a City hat as well, because second game we have up on Wednesday night is Villa versus Manchester City. Yeah. That's gonna be a tough one.
No Rodri.
No Rodri.
Snap. Straight in on him. No Rodri. No 3 points for you, cunts.
What do you call it? Rodri suspended. Grealish suspended. Doku is injured.
Villa don't lose at home.
Villa don't lose at home. They haven't lost at home for a long time. So and it is a very tough game. And they're
playing. Am I right in saying that Villa have Arsenal at the weekend?
Yeah, weekend after, or the Saturday.
That's right. Yeah. Oh. So 2 kind of interesting games that will kind of tell a lot about Villa, probably.
Yeah.
I'll be a trick. It will be a tricky one for City on Wednesday night, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Definitely a draw. I mean, you'd be fearful the way we're defending at the moment that Villa could score 1, if not 2.
Surely Phillips will get a game, will he?
I'd say Kovacic will be in there instead of Rodri. I'd imagine, unless
chances are you might if no Grealish, she's banned as well, and then Doku went off injured. So
I'd imagine it'll be Foden on the left, Alvarez on the right, Haaland in the middle, Kovacic, Nunes, and Silva.
Nunes, okay, right. Okay.
I'd say I don't know. Pep doesn't play Phillips.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't play him for whatever reason. I don't know. It's weird.
Rico Lewis might play actually.
Sorry. There it is. Rico Lewis
yeah.
will probably like it again. We also another thing when he came on there at the weekend, he got a fucking fantastic reception. They love him over there. Still needs a haircut, but they love him over there. Kieran, you were going to say something?
I quite fancy Villa for that. Yeah, it's the perfect moment. There's a City team there who are wobbling on form. There's a Villa team there who they're not. They keep showing great resilience and attacking prowess. So no, I think I fancy an upset.
The way they're playing, the way what do you call it? The way Emery has them playing, the results they've been getting, they're on form. I wouldn't be shocked if Villa did pull off a 1-0, 2-1, absolutely. If City were to come back after the weekend and put 3 or 4 past Villa, I would love it. I would love it if we bet them.
You know what he is, the likes of Emery there, probably he's kind of manager there where he might show City a lot more respect, and he mightn't just be that kind of attacking and fluidity that they would have had in games gone by. It could be that could be something that he might do. I don't know whether or not he was to go for it and take the handbrake off and let them at them. I think it'll cause a lot of problems for City. But I'm just kind of thinking
if they beat City tomorrow, or sorry, Wednesday night, they leapfrog City in third, it's interesting. And then the final midweek game I just said I'd bring up is United versus Chelsea on Wednesday night. That'll be an interesting one for both teams because, Man United are in need of wins big time. I was reading online on the Sky Sports today that Ten Hag is supposedly having to round up the troops, that people are losing faith in him. There's little cliques starting to form in the team, etc. Whereas Chelsea, look, we know the season they've had, they've gone and beat Brighton 3-2, 4-4 with City. They could easily go and lose.
Where is it? In Old Trafford, Deck, is it?
Yeah, it's in Old Trafford, yeah. So,
which means nothing really.
It doesn't anymore.
No, but it doesn't mean. I just think at the moment, Chelsea could definitely go there and they have a lot more energy. Just think of a Chelsea team, even in general, just their young players they have on the side. They've an awful lot more energy, and they're showing off more energy than United are. So United aren't up for it. I think Chelsea will turn them over anyway.
Yeah. Howard, what do you think?
Yeah.
Are you going to back your love for Chelsea? Are you going to back them?
No, I think Dan is right. I think Chelsea could do a number on them. I just think with United playing at the moment, the way they're playing at the moment, they scrape wins, or they're putting in bad performances, and I think the Chelsea team they don't usually flop like that. They usually flop against the smaller teams. So I think they might be more up for it than you think.
We'll see.
They have a lot of good players, Chelsea. Just like you have Lavia still to come back.
That's right.
They have a good midfield.
With Chelsea, it's weird because there have been periods this season where they were shit at the start, and then they had they go maybe 2 games, they play very well, to get a result. Then they go to City 4-4, and things are positive, but then all of a sudden they lose to Brentford. And it's just it's an odd pattern. But if they do kind of start to get form, you could see them move up the table.
Could be a good game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and at the weekend, Spurs versus Newcastle. Kieran, what do you think that will go? Spurs are at home.
That
actually could be a great game.
For all of Spurs' sliding form and Newcastle's resilience, Spurs are still over Newcastle in the league. But you'd have to still. Well, they're actually both depleted teams, so I don't know. It'll probably end up in a draw. I know which way I want it to go, but I think it can end up a draw, or that Punk will score again.
What do you call it? Dan, to you next for Palace versus Liverpool. Kind of a bogey team for ye.
Just them 12:30 kickoffs. They're
12:30 as well. That's crazy.
Another one.
Where is that on? In Palace?
It's in Palace.
Yeah.
Hodgson would love to do one over his old team.
Yeah, they're always just a tricky side, especially at home, Palace. Yeah. And Hodgson does have them. He has them well organised, and I think they have 1 or 2 of their players that are missing. What call the guy that they have back there? He scored last week. Elise, is it?
Elise, yeah.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah, he's back, and Like they have, I don't know, yeah, you'd fancy though, like they're still not great Palace. They're kind of one of them, are they?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
They're tucked away at West Ham, but they're a kind of they're probably a they're not great though, are they? Like, they're not
No,
like
Yeah,
they're
I
no.
think
quite
they were
organized.
better. They were better last year. They had Zaha,
Yeah,
like Zaha, like leaving
mm,
is a big, massive loss because
was,
I know
yeah.
any team that went against Palace is like fuck Zaha, like he's like he's the bogey man, like you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
him missing is massive. They need Eze or Elisa to
Them
step
two
it
are
up.
quality, yeah. And I don't know how much longer they'll end up there either. Like you kind of
Yeah,
feel that they're probably not too far from a move to a bigger club. But
yeah.
yeah, look, I still fancy us to beat them, but they'll put up a fight. It'll be hard and
Yeah.
they'll have to let them well organised and have to try and break them down. But
I don't like
they should be
Palace.
winning that.
I never have liked Palace. I never will. But I'm gonna Palace versus Liverpool. I'm gonna predict a 3-3 for that one, as an old nod to times gone by. Do you remember that game, Dan?
I do, Declan. I remember very, very well. Very, very,
Good.
very, very well. I do remember it. Yeah. What do they call it? Crystal Blue, was it?
I don't know. I don't
Something.
know. It was
No,
just a
yeah.
good game. And then the final game of the weekend, Villa versus Arsenal. Howard, Villa away. What would
Villa
your
away.
thoughts on this be?
Well,
I'm taking
yeah.
into account as well. Again, my City hat on. I mean, we've Luton as well at the weekend. So I'm
Yeah, so
kind
it's
of
like reserve.
hoping.
It's like reverse picture. So like we play Luton first, and then you play Villa.
That's right. You play Luton tomorrow night, I think, isn't it?
So yeah, I think I know it's mad to say, but like sometimes I look at like the City Villa game, and depending on what happens there, I think can have an impact on the Arsenal game
Yeah,
in a way from like a Villa point of view. Because like if Villa go and they beat City, their tails could be up.
yeah,
And they could go into that game against Arsenal full of confidence. Well, if they get trashed, it could be like, oh, here we go, and then having to play Arsenal and afterwards can be a bit of a downer. Um, I think if we win it, it's definitely if Arsenal win the game, it's not going to be a comfortable win. It could be like a last minute goal, or it could be I can't see them running away with it anyway against especially Emery, ex Arsenal, point to prove, you know.
just
But
amazing that just say like in years gone by, either City or Arsenal going to Villa, you would have thought, all right,
oh yeah, yeah,
we should be winning that. But I mean, the way that Emery has them set up and their form, I mean,
they're
it's
solid.
anything. They're very solid,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
And Arsenal away from home as well. I mean, like you think about the Brentford one, they were very lucky to come out of that one with the
Yeah.
win. They had a couple of them. They went away to Everton and scraped one.
Yeah,
They've
the
kind of
only
got
thing is
away to.
they don't concede many goals away from home. They're very
Mm,
good. Like they concede nearly every time at home, Arsenal, but like they have a ridiculous record for keeping clean sheets away from home. It's almost like they play a different kind of game. They play a cagier game, like they keep it tighter at the back, like and not like because if they concede in the Emirates, they like play more expansive, and if they concede, they know they can come back. Like well, at home or away from home, they keep it way tighter and don't take as many risks. So it's a lot more. It's a
yeah,
lot more cagey, and if they get a goal, they'll hold on to it, kind of thing. So.
just on Villa
Um,
as well, though. Like as well, we haven't really mentioned the fact like they're also playing in Europe, and like it was their first time in a long time in European competition. And
yeah.
fair enough, I know it's the conference, but like they're still having to play a game on a Thursday night, and for them to be doing as well as they do, like as well, it's an extra kind of props to them because like that's
They should have been beating Bournemouth though, like in the last game
yeah,
2-2, like,
absolutely.
and they only just got a goal last minute. So I was kind of like, yeah, I was kind of surprised at that in a way that, their home form obviously is brilliant, but I was surprised if they were, if people were talking about maybe top four and stuff. I think they need to be winning them kind of games.
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
But I think that if they're in that fifth position, does go to England.
That's right.
So
Oh yeah,
you'd imagine looking at it like they'd have a fair chance at that, wouldn't they?
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just looking at their home form here is insane. Like,
That's insane. Are they 14 on the bounce? Is it?
yeah, but they lost, away from home to Nottingham Forest 2-0.
Yeah,
Their away form isn't great, but their home form is insane. So
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be tough 2 games for Arsenal and City coming up.
All right. Cheers for that, man. So fantasy football, Dan, give us an update.
Yeah, Dan, give
Yes.
us an update. Give us an
Why
update there, Dan.
you're saying that, Howard, as if you're ahead of me?
I'm
No,
not. I don't even know. I haven't
no,
even.
I don't think you are. Just
haven't
you
even
got,
seen.
You dropped yet again, Howard, down to
No,
11th
no,
now.
no, no. I'm making a comeback, Dan. Or Deck. I think
hang
I'm.
on. I'm looking at it here. So Andrew Curley is back in the lead. Yeah. Curley's Whirlies. He is leading the way. I had a nightmare of a weekend. Like it was a bad one now, and a lot of stuff just didn't go my way. So, I didn't put. I took Bowen out and put in Kudus, which went for me. But Moisey was kind of talking as if Ball wouldn't play, and then suddenly there he was starting on Sunday for West Ham at home. Now, thankfully, that didn't go against him. But Watkins was also a big doubt, and Emery was talking him up as about he'd be lucky to make the bench. And I took Watkins out and put in Alvarez, and then Watkins went and got a goal and an assist and had a cracking game. So that didn't necessarily go for me. And then I put in Doku, who hit the crossbar and then went off injured. And I knew Nunez, who also hit the crossbar. So it was one of them could have, would have, should have weekends for myself. So I didn't do great.
Your brother done well, didn't he?
Yeah, that little cretin done well actually. He did. Yeah. He had Tomiyasu, who got 11 points from, and Wahid Watkins, in his team. He got 72 actually. I think I'd say that was near enough the highest of the week. It was one of them anyway. Enda McDonald there at 76. He had a good week there as well. It's still fierce tight though. Like it's
very tight, isn't it? Let's look at it here.
Yeah. You're 4 points behind me, Howard. 4 points
behind. Yeah.
Howard, just out of curiosity, can you just scroll down to the very bottom of the league and tell me who's at the bottom?
Yeah. Tiny dancers. Kieran OC, whoever that gobshite.
He had a good week, though.
He had a good week. 6 to 7 points.
You call your team tiny dancers.
Yeah, I guess I did.
About 4 months ago now, fair enough. For what I'm seeing though, okay, you sent me the picture of the league earlier on. So like it's the top 12, 13. There's nobody new coming into it. So is it very much kind of, everyone there doesn't have the same team, but they have a lot of same players are in these teams. So like the winner is going to be within 1 to 13 or 1 to 15 maybe.
You can kind of, it depends because people would use the wild card after Christmas, and African Nations Cup might mess around a bit as well, and then the new players to come in, new transfers will come in. So I wouldn't say like you can. Again, I just think at the moment it's very much like Salah or Haaland most weeks for captaincy. So again, it's funny if you've Salah as captain there like against Fulham, and you're just praying Haaland does fuck all in the half-hour game, and it's like that most of the weeks. Like there's not too many taking a chance on anybody else. It's very much Haaland or Salah at the moment. So again, Salah's gone in January. So like, is it just everyone going to pile into Haaland, or will anyone take a chance on it? At the moment, the differentials are the ones we can have. Like I don't have Anthony Gordon. A lot of people have him. He's after having 2 massive weeks in fantasy football terms there as well. So, but anyway, Andrew Curley is leading the way, and there's only about when you look at it, there's 60 odd points between first and 14th. Like that's very little, really.
Okay, fair enough. No, that's fair enough. A lot of football to be played over Christmas.
Oh, sorry, so just to say as well, it's going to be an absolute shit show now this week because there will be rotation. Like fucking Pep Roulette will be out in force. I think you're going to make a few changes in that as well. So it's just going to be. You're going to be just praying and, fucking clenching your butt cheeks and just hoping that things go your way. And because like Haaland, even he probably will start, but you could see a couple of changes there maybe in City's team, Liverpool's, maybe Arsenal as well, possibly 1 or 2 changes. So that usually causes havoc as well. So
what I'm waiting for is for one of you to kind of start breaking into the top 5. Like you're kind of thereabouts, you're in the top 10, give or take. But I mean, none of you are making a real go for it, lads. Take a chance. Come on.
Yeah. We need a few changes. I think once you play wildcard, it's very hard to change your team dramatically without losing too many points. So I don't have Salah or Watkins. So
but you have 3.5 million in the bank. Come on.
Yeah, that's gone now. I've invested in Trippier, bringing Trippier back again.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's gone with all the weddings he's fucking going to.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cheers for that, Dan. Monksland United. So first of all, congratulations to Lorcan Shine, who was the winner of the last man standing competition. So they got a long run out of that, a couple of months. So I'd imagine they'll probably go again in the new year with one. Results: the B team, unfortunately, their fixture was yet again called off to a frozen pitch. They can't seem to get a game at all, unfortunately. But the A team were in action. They drew 0-0 with St. Peter's. I was looking at the table for the Combined Counties Football League. The top 5 teams are all separated by 1 point, which is amazing. Like there's only 9 teams in the league, so like the top 5 are all separated by 1 point. So it is a very competitive.
How many
league
games have been played, Doug?
Like in that league, like there's some teams with 6, some with 5.
Yeah.
1 of 4. So like it's not all even.
No,
So
yeah. Fair enough.
so there is that, but I suppose it just the teams that are in it this year for whatever reason, it's just very competitive, and 1 point separating the first from fifth. 3 of them are on 9, two of them are on 8. Fixtures this weekend: Monksland beat are in cup action away to St. Cartridge's in Bora, outside of Tullamore. Just a quick story. My first game reffing at senior level, I reffed out in this place, Bora, for St. Cartridge's. I had a fucking howler. It was so bad. I lost control of the game completely. Like it was like a Division 3B senior game, and I mean, of the 22 players on the pitch, 16 of them, 17 of them were all hungover. And I just got dogs abuse. I lost control of the game. I was handing out yellows everywhere. Anyways, bad memory in that one. Amongst Sunday, they're actually they're at home to Willow Park this Sunday, kickoff at 11 in Cushla Park. So that again should be a great game. Now, finally, on to the Christmas competition. So if any of you were kind of watching Instagram over the weekend, you would have seen us put up a post. Liverpool versus Arsenal on Saturday, the 23rd of December. Kickoff at 5:30. So what we're doing with this competition is we're asking viewers, listeners to predict the minute of the first goal and the minute of the first yellow card in this game. So it's completely free to enter. So the winner of either of those will receive a €50 one for all gift voucher. This is Dan, myself, and Howard are all coming into this. This is why I was asking Dan and Howard for money during the week. So there you go, Dan. Just what they call it. So we would like you to send your predictions if you want to take part, again, completely free, into us on Instagram, or you can contact myself, Dan, or Howard directly. So it's first come, first serve. So there's a few slots filled in already. Ideally would like to get all the slots filled by the 23rd of December. It'll be a great game. It'll be a bit of crack, and again, it's completely free to enter. So there are two €50 one for all gift vouchers up for grabs. So please do enter. And Kieran, I see you shaking your head. Go ahead.
I'm just skeptical. That's all.
Of what, may I ask?
Of you and your whole charade.
And you know him best, Kieran, and you know him best.
Yeah. Exactly.
Me and my whole charade. Do you care to delve into that a little bit further, please?
No, I'll leave it as is. Just
okay. All right.
We'll get PricewaterhouseCooper in to audit this process after.
I can give a shit. Dan, Howard, and me are controlling the entries. Like, so I mean, there's nothing to be skeptical about.
There's a lot. I just looked at it though. There's a lot of O'Connors that are filled in. They're filled in on the spreadsheet. So I'm interested there as to, and very funny as well that like before it actually went live, there was a lot of O'Connors filled in on it before we even gave it.
and Donlands, and there's a
Claire
Donlan there as well somewhere.
Yeah, she made a prediction, and the three O'Connors are Val, Margaret, and David. So, like, my parents made a prediction, my brother made a prediction, albeit a ridiculous prediction. If you see, like, they predicted the first goal in like the 80th odd minute. But anyways, so yeah, they made a prediction, and that's what we want. We would ideally we'd love to kind of fill in all slots. If we do, brilliant. If not,
we've like 20 in each so far, and just over 20 or something around that. So yeah,
brilliant.
We're a long way to go. A few weeks there, like so.
Absolutely. So get your predictions in. Free to enter, absolutely. And €50 voucher, one for all gift voucher to the winners of both of them. So the first goal and the first yellow card, make your predictions. You can send them into Howard, Dan, or myself, or you can send them into Instagram as well. That seems to conclude us for the week, gentlemen. Any other business to discuss? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Brilliant.
Fun for me.
All right. All right, brilliant, lads. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Have a good week. And Kieran, you may not be back next week, but I'm sure you'll be back at some stage over Christmas.
Good to know.
All right, guys. Have a good week, okay?
Cheers, Zach.
All right. Cheers, Zach.
All right, good luck. Cheers, lads.